Literally me. 2 words, yet these 2 words refer to an extremely large and diverse amount of characters. From heroes to villains and every type of character in between, they can all fall under the almighty phrase, literally me. Yet despite the differences between these characters, they all usually have these things in common. They are relatable. But they're not just relatable as any character can be relatable. They are relatable in the context of a society that has either thrown them away or is almost indifferent to their existence. A society that has moved faster than them, often to the point of stepping on them. A society that is likely nihilistic, hyper-consumerist, without a higher purpose, meaning, or identity. And yes, I've said society a lot. It's no coincidence that Joker is a literally me character as well. Anyways, while all these literally me characters can differ from one another, they all are relatable in that they show how a person deals with their struggles or society in a way that we feel reflects our own modern conditions. Some literally me characters see things wrong in society and oppose them. Some feel alienated by an indifferent or even hostile society. Some can't connect to society due to their lack of social skills. Some struggle with mental illnesses, which aspects of society make worse. Some are downright bad people, but are a reflection of their society or act against problems, even if it's an overreaction. And sometimes it's all of the above. While these characters are referred to commonly in film, they are without a doubt abundant in anime and manga as well. Alright, so now that we have a common understanding of literally me, we can start the literally me anime tier list. Also, first off, there are some characters that aren't here, like Shinji or Lane, that are 100% literally me characters, but I have not watched their series yet, so I'll probably include them in a part 2 if you guys are interested in that. Anyways, let's start with Denji. We all know Denji is Chainsaw Man, right? Well, guess who else is Chainsaw Man? Yeah, that's right, Patrick Bateman. And Bateman is basically the poster boy for literally me characters, so I think this clearly means that Denji is an S tier. Alright, on a serious note, or as serious as a video about literally me anime characters can be, Denji is not a character most people immediately think of when they hear literally me. However, I think he's like on the fringe of that character type. I mean, how many times have you heard someone say, he's just like me for real when referring to Denji? And I think this comes from how Denji is relatable in the aspect that he wears his heart and his vices on his sleeve. Dude is just trying to cop a feel and get laid even if it will ruin his life. That Hello Kitty loving e-girl you've been eyeing, best believe she will have disastrous repercussions on your life on par with Makima. And I think it also speaks to people nowadays because, I mean, more than ever, society exploits our biological urges. I mean, we see sex everywhere in media like anime, film, games, and, even advertisements. And, of course, pornography, as harmful as it can be, is more easily accessible than water, which is proven by the fact that some of y'all are thirsty as fuck. But ironically, in our hypersexual society, relationships, whether they're sexual or even just friendships, are at an all-time low for men right now. So in terms of relating to that aspect, I think Denji is pretty solid, but a bit one-dimensional in terms of how literally me he is. So I'll give him a B tier. Alright, Guts. Guts is a perfect example of a literally me character that is written so well with such relatable struggles that it doesn't even matter that this dude is like a 6'5", muscle-bound Giga Chad that swings around a slab of metal against demonic horrors on a daily basis. He embodies that primal masculinity that is repressed in modern society, as well as the more melancholic, quiet side of man. I mean, simply put, Guts is a struggler. I think he represents like how no matter what external challenges life throws at us, or even internal challenges of our inner darkness that we face, we can always get back up and keep trying to improve our lives. And that's not to say that life is just gonna be easy and life isn't gonna kick your ass every now and then. You will have scars and you will make mistakes, but I think what we get from Guts is that, he never gives up. And I think that's why so many people, me, myself included, relate to him so much. I mean, I'm not gonna beat around the bush anymore. Guts is like easily an S tier, literally me character. I don't think there's any debate there. All right, next is Light Yagami. I think Light is definitely one of the literally me characters, similar in the vein of Joker, Travis Bickle, or Bateman. While Light isn't like schizo posting in real life like those characters, like them, he is like morally gray at best and like a terrible human being at worst. I think Light kind of represents how a person can have frustrations and grievances with society, you know, as we all do. In Light's case, it is a justice system. But when you couple that with his huge ego, and I think the Death Note even like is said to corrupt people. So when you kind of have all those like mixed in the pot, he kind of lashes out, and you could even say it's like an overreaction. But Light's goal of enacting justice in an unfair society is something we can relate to, even if, you know, he is morally questionable in how he goes about it. I think another thing is Light kind of represents like how you can have the right intentions, but if you let that darkness in yourself become unchecked, it can corrupt those intentions. Also, he has those really funny spurg out moments near the end of Death Note.
Who else could have done it and come this far? Would they have kept going?
All in all, I would say Light is another pretty solid Literally Me character. I think I'll probably put him in A tier, not quite S tier, because I think he's a little too perfect and the relatable parts of him like aren't strong enough to put him all the way up in S tier. Alright, so this next character, I don't even know if like a lot of people are going to know who he is, but he is the boy slash soldier from Angel's Egg. And I know y'all are probably wondering like, why is he a Literally Me character? But I mean, just first of all, look at him, bro. Like, this man has mastered the Ryan Gosling stare. Anyone who's mastered that stare clearly is Literally Me. I mean, Leoro probably learned his Sigma stare from this guy. But even on a deeper level, one of the big themes in Angel's Egg, the movie this guy is from, is the loss of faith in a higher power or purpose. The world of Angel's Egg is one that God has basically abandoned, and the setting is like this dark, brooding city. And obviously this can reflect how we feel about our own society, which is, you know, very, very materialistic and pretty much throws out, you know, religion, faith, and any semblance of spirituality to the point where many people nowadays feel very isolated and are wondering about life, you know, without purpose. And, you know, similarly, this boy in Angel's Egg reflects this existential angst. You know, he represents that loss of faith as well and also wanders around aimlessly. I mean, the dude even carries around a cross, for Christ's sake. No pun intended. He also tries to convince a little girl that God has abandoned them, but you know, not in a cringy Reddit atheist way, and more in a Kino Literally Me way. Look, I don't really know how to explain it. Just watch the movie and you'll know what I'm talking about. And technically in his universe, he is correct. Ultimately though, I will probably put him in B tier. While he does embody a lot of, you know, Literally Me aspects, he's not really defined as much as a character. Like, he's more of like an extension of the film and its philosophy, if that makes sense. I mean, the dude talks like 3 times the whole movie.
Is there something you want to tell me?
And then we have the GOAT, Spike Spiegel. You know, Spike just oozes cool. He's effortlessly suave with a devil-may-care attitude. But, you know, underneath that, he's kind of hiding the side of him that is, you know, kind of indifferent to the fact of whether he lives or dies, as he's lost his purpose and what made him feel alive long ago. He's unable to let go of his past, and so he carries on his life as, you know, cheerful on the surface. In reality, he's really apathetic to the point of recklessly endangering himself. I'm sure almost all of us can relate to this, at least to some degree. You know, we've all made mistakes in life, we have regrets, and I'm pretty sure all of us have lost something or someone in our life that, you know, to our eyes probably changed the trajectory of our life. And you know, the weight of this stays with us. It doesn't get lighter, we just get stronger and wiser until the weight is no longer a burden. That or it crushes you. And of course, Watanabe intended for this relatability. So I think it's safe to say Spike Spiegel is Literally Me. Easy S tier, no question. He is one of the Literally Me characters here that I probably relate to the most. But I will put him behind Guts. I think Guts kind of edges him out slightly. Now we have Johan, a dude that has like a genius IQ. He's like a master manipulator, and the dude is like slick, the embodiment of evil, right? So how exactly is he a Literally Me character? Well, first of all, Johan is Literally Me, not in how he just goes around killing people, I hope, but in the nihilistic worldview that he has. You know, the dude has a very fractured identity and obviously struggles with severe mental issues. As I've detailed before, like with Angel's Egg, this is something that a lot of people struggle with and is seen in many Literally Me characters. And it also doesn't hurt that Johan is masterfully written, so in my opinion, I think he is another character that belongs in S tier. I don't know if I can put him above Spike. That's really hard. Because me personally, I relate more to Spike than I do Johan. I think some things kind of fall in Johan's lap slightly, you know, like there's some slight plot conveniences in Monster that hurt his literally me aspects, but you know, maybe that's just me, but I'll put him below Spike. All right, now we have Mima from Perfect Blue, and yes, I know that picture is technically roomy, but you know, the picture goes hard, I'm gonna use it anyways, I don't care, alright? Anyways, Mima is a literally me character that I'm sure this channel's large female audience will appreciate. Throughout Perfect Blue, Mima struggles with her identity in a way that I felt that was very reminiscent of Fight Club and American Psycho. Not to say that it's not unique, it is, but it definitely just reminded me how it was edited and how it kind of conveyed, you know, a blurring of reality and fantasy, very reminiscent of Fight Club and American Psycho to me. But anyways, her character undergoes psychosis, you know, that, like I said, blurs that line between reality. You know, she's gaslit and just becomes more and more unstable throughout the course of the movie. And this is because, you know, of societal factors as well as just bad people around her. And you know, these people are also affected by mental illnesses, personality disorders, and parasocial relationships. And it basically causes all of them to degrade her mental health. I mean, it gets to the point where she stabs someone for making her deliver pineapple pizza, which to me just shows that she's the only sane one in the film. Okay, that wasn't really her, but Mima is a great literally me character regardless. So all things considered, I think I'm gonna put her in A tier. Honestly, I think she's even above Light. Perfect Blue is just such an amazing movie. It really conveys like that literally me aspects very well. She even has a case for S tier, but some of the literally me aspects of the film apply to other characters and, you know, not her. If I were to judge like the whole, you know, Perfect Blue film overall as a literally me film, it would definitely be an S tier, you know, if that makes sense.
That's an interesting way of that makes sense.
All right, now we have Punpun. Off rip, I'm gonna say that Punpun is literally me in possibly one of the worst ways. While Johan also embodies, you know, the darkest aspects of all people and, you know, by extension us, I think Punpun does exactly this, but to an even more realistic degree. Since, you know, Punpun's world is essentially ours, it's pretty much the exact same. His descent to darkness, I feel, is very, very familiar for a lot of people. This includes depression, suicidal thoughts, social anxiety, an inability to garner genuine relationships, trauma, and believe me, much, much more. And to put it very lightly, I wouldn't say he's a great person, but I'm sure almost all of us have gone through a dark period in our lives where we were at an all-time low mentally, and maybe that meant we weren't the best person at that time either. It's that aspect of Punpun that I feel is like extremely emotionally resonant, and so because of that and how well it captures that, I feel like I have to put him in S tier. Like, Punpun definitely is one of the most like emotionally visceral manga I've ever read, and I think most people that read it can see a little bit of themselves in there, you know, even if they don't want to. So I'm going to put him S tier. Honestly, I think he's even above Johan for me. All right, I might get some hate in the comments for that, but I do think in terms of literally me, he surpasses Johan.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
All right, next we have David Martinez from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And you know, on the surface, David has a lot of the hallmarks of an S tier literally me character. I mean, you could say that his situation is very, very similar to another literally me character, K from Blade Runner 2049. You know, they're both in a very dystopian cyberpunk world, and they're kind of reliant on the companies that keep them fed. But eventually, you know, both characters end up rebelling for what they truly care about. And spoilers for both, you know, Cyberpunk Edgerunners and Blade Runner 2049. Both characters end up, you know, dying at the end for their cause. David also struggles with mental health and substance abuse, which are, you know, very human issues. So there's definitely relatability there. But at the same time, we only got like, what, 10 episodes with David. And a lot of things like, you know, his resistance to cyberpsychosis and Lucy kind of just fell in his lap, in my opinion. Also, I just don't think he has nearly the same amount of depth as any other character on this entire list, if I'm being honest. So I'm going to put him in C tier. Again, that's probably also very controversial. I know you guys love Edgerunners. I like the series too, but in terms of literally me, I think David is just okay. You know, he's not bad, but he's not really good either. And you know, speaking of controversial, we have Eren Yeager. Alright, so Eren is definitely a very interesting one. I would say for most of Attack on Titan, like up to like probably 70% of the entire series, Eren didn't really classify as a literally me character. That was until obviously Tatake Eren came into the picture. Now this version of Eren came off as cool and level-headed like Spike, with the determination towards his goals like Guts. It was like Eren became their apprentice for like a year and just came back into the AOT universe out of nowhere. And not only that, but he had a lot of lows that people relate to as well. I mean, bro was clearly getting no sleep, was extremely apathetic, and was lashing out against a society that legitimately did wrong to him and his loved ones. And while he did some morally questionable things such as genocide, you know, what drove him to that point is what many people latched onto. Also, spoiler warning for anime onlys. Yes, he had that infamous crybaby panel where his facade kind of disappeared and the dude was like low-key in shambles. That almost adds to the literally me aspect of his character in my opinion. So for me, I would put Eren in A tier, but not quite S tier as it does take Eren a majority of his series to get there. Alright, now we have Satou from Welcome to the NHK. Now, Satou is possibly the most realistic literally me character on this entire list. He's a NEET or hikikomori who is depressed, emotionally unstable, paranoid, a conspiracy theorist, delusional, perverted, lazy, etc, etc. I could go on all day. You know, he secludes himself in his room, shuts himself off from the world and its problems, and the world, you know, just moves on without him. Yet despite this knowledge that his lifestyle is probably unsustainable and very unhealthy, he continues it anyways because it's what is most comfortable to him, and society around him almost encourages it as he deludes himself into thinking it's okay. And I'm sure, you know, a lot of us can relate to this at least to some degree because, you know, in our modern day society, whenever life knocks us down on our asses, it is easier than ever to just become like a hermit, you know? You know, people can get their social fixes from YouTube or Twitch streamers. They can have their food delivered to their house via Amazon, their schooling or work done on their house computer, and all their other needs just inside their house. And they can do this all while ignoring their own issues in the real world. And this is why, in my opinion, I think Satou's character is more relevant and relatable than ever before. And his character arc after he realizes just how shitty his life is extremely impactful. Satou is another easy S tier for me, and in my opinion, he is the most underrated character on this entire list. If you haven't seen Welcome to the NHK, I highly recommend it. So I will put Satou... Oh man, this is hard. Again, I do think he's above Johan, which I know a lot of people would think is controversial, but I think it's true. Oh man, is he above Punpun though? That's hard. That is really hard. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to put him above Punpun but below Spike. Now, if you were to take the character of the driver from the movie, well, Drive, made him Japanese and made him obsessed with rock climbing instead of driving, you would get someone extremely similar to Mori Bantarou from the manga The Climber. I mean, this dude is similarly antisocial, seldom speaks, is obsessed with his craft, and you know, he even goes on a similar character arc as the driver where he kind of figures out what he truly cares for in life. I won't say too much about Mori as The Climber is one of my favorite manga of all time, and I 100% think you should check it out because I know it's a pretty slept on series, not a lot of people have read it. So I'll say he's S tier. Alright, well that's it for this video. You know, we ended up with way more S tier characters than I expected. Honestly, the tier list is a little lopsided, but I think it goes to show you that literally me characters and their appeal is partly because of how well written they are, which is what allows them to be so relatable, you know? Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think and what characters you want in part 2, and like and subscribe, or else I will let everyone know that you are not literally Ryan Gosling.